I walked through my parents' front door that Sunday afternoon in suburban Ohio, my wife Sarah beside me, our daughter Emma holding my hand, and our son Lucas bouncing ahead. The house smelled like roasted chicken and fresh bread, the same comforting scents from my childhood. But the moment I stepped into the hallway, I heard my mother's voice from the dining room, clear and cold as winter ice. Monica's kids eat first, and Anthony's kids wait for the crumbs. I froze. Sarah's grip tightened on my arm. We rounded the corner into the dining room. Emma and Lucas sat in the corner of the dining room on wooden chairs pushed against the wall, their small bodies hunched forward, staring at empty plates on their laps. At the long oak table, my sister Monica's 3 children, ages 7 through 11, were devouring a feast. Roasted chicken, mashed potatoes swimming in gravy, green beans glistening with butter, fresh dinner rolls, and a chocolate cake waiting on the sideboard. My children watched the meat with hollow eyes, the kind of resignation no 8-year-old and 6-year-old should ever know. Monica stood beside the table, arms crossed, a satisfied smirk on her face. My mother Barbara hovered near the china cabinet, her expression a mixture of defiance and something darker I could not quite name. My father Douglas sat at the head of the table, whiskey glass in hand, watching the scene like a king surveying his kingdom. I stood there, processing what I was seeing, my heart hammering against my ribs. Sarah made a small sound beside me, somewhere between a gasp and a sob. Lucas looked up, saw me, and his bottom lip trembled. Emma refused to meet my eyes. "Get your coats," I said quietly to my children. My voice came out steady, calmer than I felt. "Oh, Anthony, do not be so dramatic," my mother said, waving her hand dismissively. "We were just about to feed them. They are learning patience." "Patience?" Sarah's voice cracked. "They have been here for 2 hours. You told me dinner was at 3 o'clock. It is 5:15. Monica laughed, a sharp sound that cut through the room. "You are too sensitive, both of you. This builds character. My kids earned their meal. Yours need to learn the same lesson." I looked at my father, waiting for him to say something, to intervene, to be the parent I remembered from my early childhood before everything changed. He took a long sip of his whiskey and said nothing. "How long has this been happening?" I asked, my voice dropping lower. "When I am not here?" Monica's smirk widened. "I have been bringing my kids over twice a week for months now. The hierarchy has been established. Your children understand their place." "Their place?" Sarah's voice rose. "They are children. They are your grandchildren, Barbara. How could you?" My mother straightened her spine, her chin lifting. "We are teaching them valuable lessons about how the world works. Not everyone gets to be at the head of the table, Anthony. You should know that better than anyone." The words landed like a punch. I had always been the overlooked child, the one who never quite measured up. Monica was the golden child, the beauty queen who won pageants throughout high school, who married Preston, a successful lawyer who lived in a 4,000-square-foot house in the nicest suburb. I became a high school teacher, married Sarah, who was a nurse, and we lived in a modest 3-bedroom ranch. We were comfortable, happy, content with our middle-class life. But to my parents, I had settled for adequate when I could have reached for exceptional. I never imagined they would extend their favoritism to my children. I never dreamed they would be this cruel. "Daddy," Emma's small voice broke through my thoughts. "I am hungry. Grandma said we had to earn our food by cleaning first." "Cleaning?" I turned to my daughter. "What do you mean?" Lucas stood up from his chair, his jeans dirty at the knees. "We cleaned the basement for 2 hours. Grandma said if we did a good job, we could eat." My hands started shaking. Sarah moved past me, kneeling in front of Lucas, gently pulling up his pant legs. Bruises darkened both his knees, fresh and purple, the kind you get from kneeling on concrete for too long. Sarah looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. I walked slowly toward my parents. My mother took a small step back. My father finally met my eyes, and I saw no remorse there, only cold calculation. "This is over," I said. "You will never see my children again." Barbara's face flushed red. "How dare you? We feed you, we help you when you need it, we give you money when times are tight. I have not taken a single dollar from you in 5 years," I said. "Not one. We pay our own bills, live our own lives, and raise our own children, and we do not need you." Douglas stood up, his chair scraping against the hardwood floor. "You walk out that door. You are not my son." I looked at him for a long moment. This man who gave me life but never gave me unconditional love. "I stopped being your son the moment you made my children servants." I gathered Emma and Lucas. Sarah already had their coats. Monica called after us, something mocking and cruel that I refused to process. We walked out into the cold November air, and I buckled my children into their car seats with trembling hands. As I started the engine, my phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from Jake, my childhood friend, who became a detective with the local police department. "Man, I need to talk to you about your sister. It is urgent. Police matter. Call me as soon as possible." I stared at the message, my mind reeling. Sarah looked at me from the passenger seat, concern etched across her face. "What is it?" she asked. "I do not know yet," I said, "but I think things are about to get much worse." I sat in my car outside our house 30 minutes later, engine off, while Sarah took Emma and Lucas inside. My hand still shook as I dialed Jake's number. He picked up on the first ring. "Anthony." Jake's voice was tight, professional. "I should not be calling you, but we have been friends since 3rd grade, and you need to know what is coming." "What is going on?" "Your brother-in-law, Preston. He is under investigation for embezzlement at his law firm. We are talking serious money, Anthony. $300,000 that we can prove, possibly more. The firm discovered the discrepancies 6 weeks ago and brought in forensic accountants. It is bad." My stomach dropped. "Monica, does she know?" Jake was quiet for a moment. "Your sister is not just aware. She is involved. We have evidence she helped him cover it up, created false invoices, manipulated records. And Anthony, there is something else. Your parents might be implicated too." "What?" My voice came out strangled. "We have been tracking the money. Some of it went to an account in your father's name. A significant amount. I cannot give you details because the investigation is ongoing, but I wanted you to know before this all goes public. The arrest warrants are being prepared. It is going to happen soon, maybe this week." I sat in stunned silence, processing the information. Everything started clicking into place. The expensive truck my father bought last year, the jewelry my mother wore that she claimed were gifts from Monica, the way they had suddenly started refinancing their house that had been paid off for a decade. "How much?" I asked. "How much went to my parents?" Jake hesitated. "Off the record? Around $200,000 over 18 months. Anthony, your parents took out a new mortgage on their house 2 years ago. We think they used that money to help Monica and Preston maintain their lifestyle while Preston was stealing from his firm. It is a whole web of fraud and money laundering." I leaned my head back against the seat, closing my eyes. My entire family was implicated in a federal crime. My sister, my parents, my brother-in-law, and they had been treating my children like servants, while their whole world was built on stolen money. "Thanks for telling me, Jake. I appreciate the heads up." "There is one more thing," Jake said. "Preston is talking to prosecutors. He is trying to cut a deal. If he does, your sister and parents are going down hard. Monica is refusing to cooperate. She thinks she can beat this. She cannot." I thanked Jake again and ended the call. I sat in my car for another 10 minutes, trying to process everything. Then I drove to the county records office. The clerk helped me pull up the public records on my parents' property. There it was, in black and white. 2 years ago, they had refinanced their fully paid house and taken out a mortgage for $200,000. The money had been transferred to an account listing Monica Preston as the account holder. My parents had leveraged their home to fund my sister's lies. I took copies of everything and drove home. Sarah met me at the door, her eyes red from crying. "The kids are in bed," she said. Emma cried for an hour. Lucas asked me why Grandma does not love him. "Anthony, I do not know how to answer that." I pulled her into my arms and told her everything Jake had revealed. She listened in silence, her body rigid with shock. "This explains everything," she finally said. "They were propping Monica up. Your whole life, they have been propping her up, and when her perfect image started crumbling, they had to make sure your life looked worse by comparison. Making our children servants reinforced the lie that Monica was still better than you. I had not thought of it that way, but Sarah was right. My parents had invested everything, financially and emotionally, into Monica's success. When that success turned out to be a house of cards built on fraud, they could not accept it. So they doubled down, treating my stable, honest life as something lesser, something to be mocked and diminished. "The school counselor called today," Sarah said softly. "Emma has been drawing pictures in class. In every picture, she and Lucas are mice, and Monica's kids are lions. The counselor is concerned about the children's self-worth. She wants us to bring them in for an evaluation." I felt rage building in my chest, hot and consuming. My parents had not just been cruel. They had been damaging my children's fundamental sense of value. "We are going to fix this," I told Sarah. "All of it. But we are going to do it the right way." The next morning, my phone rang at 7:30. My mother's number flashed on the screen. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. Barbara's voice was hysterical, barely coherent. "Anthony, you have to help us. Monica has been arrested. They came to her house this morning. Preston cut a deal with the prosecutors, and he implicated Monica in everything. They are saying she could go to prison. You have to help your sister. You are a teacher. You are good with people. You have to talk to the district attorney. Please, Anthony. We will lose everything." I listened to her panic, her desperation, her complete lack of awareness about what she had done to my children. When she finally paused for breath, I spoke. "No," I said simply. "What?" Her voice rose even higher. "What do you mean, no?" "She is your sister. Family helps family. Like you helped my children yesterday?" I asked. "Like you have been helping them for months, while I was not there to see it?" Silence on the other end of the line. "You made your choices, Mom. Now you live with them. Do not call me again." I hung up. Sarah stood in the doorway watching me. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Lighter," I said. "For the first time in 36 years, I feel lighter." The phone rang again 15 minutes later. This time it was my father. I put it on speaker so Sarah could hear. Douglas's voice was hard, lacking any of the hysteria my mother had displayed. "Family helps family, Anthony. You owe us." "I owe you?" My voice stayed calm. "What exactly do I owe you for, Dad? We raised you, put a roof over your head, paid for your state college education, fed you, clothed you, gave you every opportunity. Those are called parental obligations," I said, "not loans. You do not get to hold basic child rearing over my head like I owe you a debt. You chose to have children. You chose the responsibilities that came with that choice." My mother's voice came through in the background, sharp and angry. "Tell him his children will grow up without cousins, without family. Tell him he is destroying this family." "I am not destroying anything," I said. "You did that yourselves. You destroyed it when you stole money. You destroyed it when you made my children scrub your floors. You destroyed it when you made them servants. I am just refusing to help you hide the ruins." The line went quiet for a moment. Then Monica's voice came through. She must have come to my parents' house. "Anthony, please. I am sorry about what I said yesterday. I was stressed. I was not thinking clearly. I know you are angry, but I am your only sister. I could go to prison for 10 years. Please help me." Her voice broke on the last word, and for a brief moment, I felt the old pull, the old instinct to protect my little sister. Then I remembered Emma's bruised knees and Lucas's hollow eyes. "No," I said again. "Figure it out yourselves." I ended the call and blocked all 3 numbers. Over the next week, I met with Jake twice more. He gave me what information he could without compromising the investigation. The picture that emerged was worse than I had imagined. Monica had not just helped Preston cover up the embezzlement. She had actively participated in it. She created fake invoices for services that were never provided, forged documents to make the transfers look legitimate, and moved money through multiple accounts to hide the trail. She faced 15 federal charges, including wire fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy. But the deeper truth was even darker. Jake revealed that Monica had a gambling addiction, specifically online poker, that had been bleeding their finances dry for 3 years. Preston had started stealing to cover her losses and maintain the lifestyle she demanded. When he could not keep up, she got more involved, helping him steal more efficiently. The total amount they had taken reached $470,000. My parents had knowingly received stolen money. They used it to pay off debts, buy luxury items, and maintain the illusion that their daughter's family was thriving. They could be charged as accessories after the fact. That afternoon, I got a call from Emma's school. My daughter had gotten into a fight during recess, something she had never done before. The principal, Mrs. Chen, asked Sarah and me to come in immediately. We sat in her office while Emma sat beside us, her hands folded in her lap, her eyes red. Mrs. Chen explained that Emma had punched another student who was bullying Lucas on the playground. The other child called Lucas stupid. Mrs. Chen said gently. Emma jumped to his defense and told the child, and I quote, "I am not a servant, and neither is my brother. My daddy says we are worth just as much as anyone." Then she pushed the other child down. Emma looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. "I am sorry, Daddy, but he was being mean to Lucas. And I remembered what you said in the car, that we are valuable, that we matter." I pulled my daughter into my arms. "You are not in trouble with me, sweetheart. Not at all. You stood up for your brother. That is what family does." Mrs. Chen cleared her throat. "Mr. Hayes, there is something else." Emma told me about what has been happening at her grandparents' house. As a mandated reporter, I have to report suspected child abuse to Child Protective Services. I made that call this morning before contacting you. My stomach dropped. CPS? But we have already cut contact with my parents. We are handling it. I understand, Mrs. Chen said. But the state needs to investigate to ensure the children are safe and that the perpetrators are held accountable. The caseworker will contact you this week. Sarah started crying silently. I held Emma tighter. The consequences were expanding in ways I had not anticipated. That evening, word started spreading through our small Ohio town. We lived in a community of about 15,000 people, the kind of place where everyone knew everyone else's business. Anthony's colleagues at the high school where he taught started reaching out. Parents of his students sent supportive messages through the school's parent portal. Someone created a meal train, scheduling families to drop off dinners for the next 2 weeks, so Sarah and I did not have to worry about cooking while dealing with everything. The church we occasionally attended, a small Methodist congregation we visited on holidays and special occasions, reached out offering free counseling services through their pastoral care program. The outpouring of support was overwhelming and unexpected, but the worst was yet to come. 3 days after the CPS report was filed, a process server arrived at my door. I signed for the certified letter with shaking hands. Inside was a legal petition. My parents were suing me for grandparents' rights, claiming I was alienating them from Emma and Lucas without cause. The court date was set for 3 weeks from that day. Their lawyer was Marcus Reed, one of Preston's former partners at the law firm. I called Jake immediately. "Marcus Reed is working pro bono," Jake told me. We heard through the grapevine that Douglas promised him a piece of the house when this blows over. They still think they are going to come out of this ahead, Anthony. They still think they can win. I sat on my couch, the legal papers spread in front of me, and realized my parents were not just delusional. They were dangerous. They genuinely believed they had done nothing wrong, that they were entitled to my children, that their version of reality was the only one that mattered. Sarah came home from her shift at the hospital and found me staring at the papers. Her face went white. "Can they do this?" she asked. "Can they actually force us to let them see the kids?" "I do not know," I said, "but I am going to find out." The next morning, I sat across from Helen Rodriguez, a family lawyer whose name had been given to me by the church counselor. She was in her 50s, with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor that immediately put me at ease. The legal petition sat on her desk between us. "Ohio has grandparents' rights laws," Helen explained. "If your parents can prove they had an established relationship with Emma and Lucas, they have legal standing to petition for visitation. The fact that you have been having regular Sunday dinners for years works in their favor." "But they abused my children," I said. "We have witnesses, the school counselor, the CPS investigation." Helen nodded slowly. "The problem is timing. CPS investigations can take months to complete. They will not have their findings before your court date. Right now, it is your word against your parents' word. And Marcus Reed is a good lawyer. He will have character witnesses, photos of the kids at your parents' house, evidence of years of family gatherings. He will paint you as vindictive and them as loving grandparents being unfairly denied access." Frustration built in my chest. "So what do we do?" "We need evidence," Helen said. "Documentation. Something concrete that proves abuse occurred. Do you have anything like that? Videos, recordings, text messages?" I started to shake my head, then stopped. "My father's security cameras. 3 years ago, after a string of burglaries in their neighborhood, Douglas had installed a comprehensive security system, with cameras covering every room in the house except the bathrooms. He had been paranoid about break-ins, about someone stealing his possessions. The footage saved to a cloud service that he could access from his phone. I had helped him set up the system. I still had the login credentials saved in my password manager. That night, after Emma and Lucas were asleep, I sat at my computer and logged into the security system. It took me 2 hours to figure out the interface and locate the archived footage. Then I started watching. The first video I found was from 4 months ago. Emma and Lucas scrubbing the basement floor with brushes while Monica's children played video games upstairs. The audio was clear. My mother's voice. "You clean every corner or you do not eat. Is that understood?" The second video was worse. Lucas polishing my father's shoes while Douglas sat in his recliner, directing the 6-year-old boy on how to buff the leather properly. Emma brought him a beer from the refrigerator, struggling to carry the heavy bottle. The third video made Sarah run to the bathroom to vomit. My mother slapping Emma's hand when she reached for a cookie on the counter. The sound of the slap echoed through the speakers. Emma's small cry of pain. Barbara's cold voice. "Monica's children get treats. You earn treats. You have not earned anything." I found 16 videos spanning 6 months. In every one, my children were being used as servants while Monica's children were pampered. In one particularly disturbing clip, Monica herself appeared, telling Lucas he was from lesser stock and needed to accept his place in the family hierarchy. I downloaded every video and sent them to Helen that night. She called me at 7 the next morning. "This is a slam dunk," she said, and I could hear the anger in her usually professional voice. "I am filing a counter-motion today with this evidence attached. I am also requesting a restraining order against your parents and Monica on behalf of your children. This is clear-cut abuse, Anthony. You have them dead to rights." Relief flooded through me. Finally we had proof. Helen moved fast. Within 2 days, she had filed all the motions, sent copies to the CPS caseworker to expedite their investigation, and contacted the prosecutor handling Monica's criminal case to provide evidence of witness intimidation. The videos showed my parents and Monica threatening Emma and Lucas, telling them that if they told their parents what was happening, there would be consequences. The prosecutor added witness intimidation charges to Monica's case. My parents' lawyer, Marcus Reed, tried to get the videos suppressed, arguing they were obtained illegally. The judge disagreed. The security system was my father's property, and I had legitimate access as the person who had set it up. The videos were admissible. The family began to fracture in ways I had not anticipated. My Aunt Linda, my mother's younger sister, called me 3 days before the court hearing. I had not spoken to her in years. We had never been close, but she had always been kind to me in a distant way. "Anthony, I had no idea what was happening," she said, her voice shaking. "Your mother called me, ranting about you being ungrateful. She let slip some details about how she had been treating your children. I am horrified. I want you to know that I am going to testify on your behalf if your lawyer needs me." I thanked her, surprised by the offer. Linda continued talking, as if a dam had broken. "Your mother has always favored Monica," she said. "Even when we were girls, Monica could do no wrong. Barbara borrowed $10,000 from me to pay for Monica's wedding. She never paid me back. She said I should consider it a gift, that Monica's happiness was worth it. I have watched her enable your sister's worst behaviors for Monica's entire life. This is the culmination of 30 years of toxic favoritism." Linda became an unexpected ally. Other relatives started reaching out, people I barely knew, cousins I had not seen since childhood. The family was splitting down the middle. Some sided with my parents, claiming I was being cruel and unforgiving. Others sided with me, finally seeing the dysfunction they had ignored for decades. The night before the court hearing, I could not sleep. Sarah held my hand in the darkness of our bedroom. "Whatever happens tomorrow, we are going to be okay," she said. "We have each other. We have the kids. We have the truth." I wanted to believe her, but fear gnawed at me. What if the judge did not see it our way? What if, despite everything, I lost? At 2 a.m, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered it, expecting a robocall. "Anthony? It is Preston." I sat up in bed, wide awake. "What do you want?" "I need to talk to you. In person. I am in county jail right now. I can request a visitor. Please. I have information about your father that will blow this case wide open. Information that will help you." "Why would you help me?" I asked. "Because your father destroyed my life," Preston said, his voice bitter. "He used me. He used Monica. And when everything fell apart, he tried to pin it all on me. I am done protecting anyone. Come see me tomorrow morning before your hearing. Please." I agreed. As I hung up, Sarah looked at me with wide eyes. "What just happened?" she asked. I said slowly, "my father is the one who orchestrated all of this, and Preston is going to prove it." The county jail smelled like industrial cleaner and despair. I sat in a visiting room at 8 a.m, waiting behind a plexiglass partition. When Preston walked in, I barely recognized him. He had lost at least 20 pounds, his expensive suits replaced by an orange jumpsuit, his usually perfect hair now unkempt. His eyes were hollow, defeated. He sat down and picked up the phone on his side of the glass. I did the same on mine. "Thank you for coming," Preston said. His voice was rough, like he had not slept in days. "I need you to understand something. Your father is the reason I am here. He is the reason Monica is here. He orchestrated this entire thing." I said nothing, waiting for him to continue. 4 years ago, Douglas approached me at a family Christmas party. He pulled me aside, told me he had an investment opportunity. I thought he meant stocks or real estate. He meant stealing from my firm. "Why would you listen to him?" I asked. Preston looked down at his hands. "Because he knew I was struggling. Monica's spending was out of control. Her gambling addiction was eating through our savings faster than I could make money. We were drowning in debt, and I was too proud to admit it. Your father saw that. He exploited it. He explained that Douglas had gambling debts of his own, $200,000 owed to a loan shark who was not patient or kind. Douglas needed money fast, or he faced real violence. He came to Preston with a plan already formed, a detailed scheme to skim money from the law firm using fake invoices and shell companies. He taught Monica how to do it, Preston continued. He showed her how to forge documents, how to manipulate records, how to move money without leaving obvious trails. When I tried to stop after the first $50,000, he threatened to expose what we had already done. He said Monica would go to prison, that our children would grow up without a mother. He had leverage, and he used it. I felt sick listening to this. My father, the man who had raised me, was capable of this level of manipulation and cruelty. How much did he take? I asked. $250,000. He paid off his debts, then kept going. He bought that truck, the jewelry for your mother, new furniture, vacations. He was living like he had finally made it. And when the firm's accountants started getting suspicious, he told us to keep going, to take more so we would have enough to run if we had to. He said he would protect us. He lied. Why are you telling me this now? Because I am done, Preston said. I am done protecting him. I am done protecting Monica. My lawyer cut a deal with the prosecutors. I give them everything on Douglas, and I get reduced charges, 3 years instead of 15. Monica refused to cooperate. She still thinks Daddy is going to save her somehow. She is delusional. He reached into his jumpsuit pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. The guard had already approved it. He slid it through the small opening beneath the plexiglass. That is a list of all the evidence I gave the prosecutors. Recordings of Douglas giving me explicit instructions. Emails with him directing the entire scheme. Bank records showing he was the primary beneficiary. Text messages between him and the loan shark. Everything. Your lawyer can request copies through discovery. Use it in your hearing today. I took the paper, my hands trembling. Why do you care what happens to me? I do not, Preston said bluntly. I care about the truth. Your father used your sister like a tool and threw me away when I was no longer useful. He destroyed my career, my life, my family. I want him to pay. If helping you accomplishes that, then I am happy to help. The visit ended. I drove straight to the courthouse and found Helen in the hallway outside the courtroom. I gave her the paper Preston had provided. Her eyes widened as she read it. I can request an emergency continuance, she said. Give me time to get these records. Build a more comprehensive case. No, I said. Let us do this today. I want this over. At 10 o'clock we entered the courtroom. My parents sat on the opposite side with Marcus Reed. Monica could not attend. She was in jail, awaiting trial. Barbara looked smaller than I remembered. Her expensive clothes rumpled, her makeup poorly applied. Douglas sat rigid, his jaw clenched, refusing to look at me. The judge, an older woman named Judge Patricia Martinez, reviewed the case file. Helen presented our evidence first. She played 3 of the videos on a screen in the courtroom. The room went completely silent as everyone watched my mother slap Emma's hand, watched my children scrubbing floors, watched them being treated like servants. When the 3rd video ended, Barbara made a dramatic gasping sound and slumped in her chair. Marcus Reed caught her, helped her sit up. She was either genuinely shocked that the videos existed or she was putting on a performance. I could not tell which. Douglas remained stone-faced throughout, his expression never changing. Your Honor, Helen said, standing. These videos clearly show a pattern of abuse and exploitation. My clients acted appropriately in removing their children from this harmful environment. The grandparents' petition should be dismissed, and I am requesting a restraining order preventing any contact with the minor children for a period of no less than 5 years. Judge Martinez turned to Marcus Reed. Mr. Reed, how does your client respond to this evidence? Before Marcus could answer, the courtroom doors opened. A woman in a dark suit entered, followed by 2 federal agents. She approached the bench. Your Honor, I am Assistant United States Attorney Jennifer Walsh. I apologize for the interruption, but I have a matter that pertains directly to this case. Judge Martinez frowned, but nodded for her to continue. The United States Attorney's Office has just obtained new evidence in an ongoing federal investigation. Douglas Hayes, the petitioner in this case, is about to be arrested on charges of wire fraud, money laundering, witness intimidation, and conspiracy. Given that he is currently petitioning for access to minor children while facing these charges, the government believes the court should be aware of this information. The courtroom erupted in whispers. Marcus Reed stood up, his face pale. Your Honor, I was not aware of these developments. I request a recess to consult with my client. Denied, Judge Martinez said sharply. She looked at Douglas. Mr. Hayes, do you have anything to say in response to this information? Douglas said nothing. His hands gripped the armrests of his chair so tightly his knuckles turned white. Judge Martinez looked back at the federal prosecutor. Miss Walsh, are you executing the arrest warrant now? Yes, Your Honor. We have agents standing by. The judge shook her head slowly, her expression one of disgust. I have seen many things in my years on the bench, but this is particularly egregious. Using the court system to gain access to children while under investigation for serious federal crimes crosses a line I did not know existed. This petition is dismissed. I am issuing a restraining order preventing Douglas Hayes, Barbara Hayes, and Monica Preston from any contact with the minor children Emma Hayes and Lucas Hayes for a period of 5 years. Any violation will result in immediate arrest. She slammed her gavel down. The federal agents moved forward. Douglas Hayes. One of them said, "You are under arrest for wire fraud, money laundering, witness intimidation, and conspiracy to commit fraud. You have the right to remain silent." They cuffed him right there in the courtroom. Barbara started screaming, a high-pitched wail that echoed off the walls. Marcus Reed backed away from his clients, his face a mask of professional horror. Douglas was led out in handcuffs, his head held high, still refusing to show any emotion. As we walked out of the courthouse, reporters were already gathering on the steps. News had spread fast. Helen guided us past them, but I heard the questions being shouted. Is it true your father embezzled $500,000? Did your parents abuse your children? How does it feel to watch your father get arrested? I kept walking, holding Sarah's hand, and we got to our car. Only when we were safely inside with the doors locked did I allow myself to feel anything. Relief, exhaustion, grief for the family I had thought I had, the father I had thought I knew. Sarah leaned her head against my shoulder. "It is over," she whispered. "No," I said. "It is just beginning." I stood in my living room that evening, staring at my phone as notifications exploded across the screen. Someone had been in that courtroom with a phone camera. Video of my father being arrested was already circulating on social media. Local news stations picked up the story within 2 hours. Teacher exposes family abuse ring. The headlines read, "Father arrested in embezzlement scheme after grandson's rights case." By the next morning, the story had gone viral locally. Parents from Emma's school, people I barely knew, were sharing the news articles with hashtags. Justice for Emma and Lucas started trending in our county. My phone rang constantly with calls from reporters, producers, even a literary agent asking if I wanted to write a book about the experience. Sarah was overwhelmed, worried about our privacy, concerned that this exposure would harm Emma and Lucas more than it would help them. I agreed to one interview with Maria Santos, a reporter for the local NBC affiliate whom I knew slightly. She had covered education stories at my school before, and had always been fair and respectful. The interview took place in our living room 3 days after the hearing. Maria asked gentle questions, gave me time to compose my answers. I told the complete story. I explained the lifelong favoritism, the discovery of the embezzlement, the cruel treatment of my children. Helen had approved me showing portions of the security videos with Emma and Lucas's faces blurred to protect their privacy. When the segment aired during the 6 o'clock news, it ran for 8 minutes, an eternity in local news time. By 9 that evening, 3 million people had viewed it online. National outlets started calling. Good Morning America wanted me to fly to New York. Dr. Phil's producers reached out. I declined all of them. This was not about fame or attention. This was about protecting my children and holding abusers accountable. The ripple effects continued. Douglas's former employer, a consulting firm where he worked part-time, fired him via a press release. Barbara's church group, a women's Bible study she had attended for 20 years, formally expelled her from membership. Monica's friends, the women she had played tennis with and attended charity luncheons with, publicly distanced themselves from her on social media. The neighborhood where my parents lived, a tight-knit suburban community, effectively ostracized them. Preston's lawyer used the public sentiment to negotiate an even better deal with the prosecutors. Preston received a sentence of 3 years with eligibility for parole in 18 months in exchange for his cooperation. Monica, who still refused to cooperate or show any remorse, faced trial and was convicted on 11 of 15 charges. She received 12 years in federal prison. While my former family imploded, my actual family began to heal. Emma and Lucas started seeing Dr. Rebecca Morrison, a child psychologist who specialized in family trauma. Dr. Morrison told us the children were remarkably resilient, but needed consistent reassurance that their worth was not conditional, that they did not have to earn love or food or basic human dignity. Sarah and I established new family traditions. Sunday dinners at our house became gatherings with friends, rather than obligations with blood relatives. We invited other families from the neighborhood, colleagues from work, people who genuinely cared about us. Emma started to smile again, her natural brightness returning. She made honor roll that semester. Lucas joined a youth soccer league and discovered he was fast, coordinated, good at sports. He scored 3 goals in his first game and ran to me on the sidelines, his face glowing with pride. The community support was overwhelming. The parent fundraiser that had been organized while we were dealing with the legal battle raised $38,000. Sarah and I were stunned. We put the entire amount into college funds for Emma and Lucas, accounts my parents would never be able to touch or control. The advocacy group that had formed grew rapidly. Within 2 months, it had 200 active members, all people who had experienced toxic family dynamics or grandparent abuse. They met monthly at the community center, sharing stories, providing support, lobbying for legal reforms. They asked me to join the board of directors. I agreed. We began working with state legislators to reform Ohio's grandparents' rights laws. The current statutes prioritized adult relationships over child welfare, making it too easy for abusive grandparents to gain court-ordered access to their grandchildren. We proposed comprehensive changes, including mandatory abuse screenings, criminal background checks, and a higher burden of proof that access was in the child's best interest, rather than simply the grandparent's desire. Representative Julia Martinez, a state legislator whose own mother had experienced grandparent abuse as a child, championed the bill. She asked me to testify before the House Judiciary Committee. I told Emma and Lucas's story to a room full of lawmakers. I showed them the videos. Several committee members cried. The bill passed the committee unanimously and moved to the full House. Aunt Linda became an unexpected pillar of support during this time. She visited every week, bringing homemade cookies, helping Sarah with errands, playing board games with Emma and Lucas. She was gentle, patient, kind. Everything my mother had never been. One evening, Emma climbed into her lap and said, "I wish you were our grandma." Linda cried and held her close. "Can I be your honorary grandma?" Linda asked. Emma and Lucas both nodded enthusiastically. From that day forward, they called her Grandma Linda. She embraced the role completely, attending soccer games, school concerts, parent-teacher conferences. She gave them the healthy grandparent relationship they deserved. 6 weeks after the hearing, I received a call from a hospital social worker. Barbara had attempted suicide, an overdose of prescription pills. She was in the psychiatric unit on a mandatory 72-hour hold. Douglas was in jail awaiting trial, unable to visit her. The social worker asked if I wanted to come. I sat with the phone in my hand for a long time. Sarah watched me, waiting for my decision. "No," I finally said. "I cannot. I need to protect my own mental health, my own family. I cannot set myself on fire to keep her warm." Sarah nodded. "That is the right choice." I did send a message through the hospital chaplain. "I forgive you, but I cannot forget. I hope you get the help you need. My children come first. They will always come first." The chaplain told me later that Barbara read the message and cried for 3 hours straight. I felt nothing hearing that. Maybe someday I would feel something. Grief, or pity, or closure. But not yet. The wounds were too fresh. The state bill, now formally named Emma and Lucas's Law, in recognition of my children's suffering, passed the Ohio House of Representatives in April with bipartisan support. It moved to the Senate. Governor Wilson publicly announced his intention to sign it if it reached his desk. We were actually going to change the law. We were going to protect other children from what Emma and Lucas had endured. Then, 7 months after the courthouse arrest, I received an unexpected phone call. It was from the prosecutor handling Douglas's case, a serious woman named Amanda Pierce. "Mr. Hayes," she said, "your father wants to make a deal. He has agreed to plead guilty to all charges, forfeit all assets, and serve 15 years without possibility of parole. But he has one request. He wants to meet with you, one time, supervised and recorded, before his sentencing. He says he wants to apologize. You have 72 hours to decide if you will agree to the meeting. I want to be clear. You are under no obligation. This is entirely your choice." I hung up and stared at the wall. Sarah sat beside me on the couch. "What are you going to do?" she asked. "I do not know," I said. Part of me wants to refuse, wants to leave him with nothing, but part of me needs to hear what he has to say. I need to understand why. Emma appeared in the doorway, still in her pajamas. It was Saturday morning. She had overheard us talking. "Daddy, is Grandpa bad?" she asked. I patted the couch beside me. She climbed up, Lucas following behind her. I pulled both of my children close. "Grandpa made very bad choices that hurt people," I said carefully. "Sometimes people we love do terrible things. That does not make us bad for loving them. It just means they chose poorly, and now they have to face consequences." "Do you still love him?" Emma asked. I paused, searching for honest words a child could understand. "I love who I thought he was. I am sad about who he really is." "Will we be okay?" Lucas asked, his small voice worried. I hugged my children tighter. "We are already okay. We are going to be better than okay. We have each other, we have Mommy, we have Grandma Linda, we have friends who love us. We have everything we need." Emma nodded against my chest. "Then you should go talk to Grandpa. Maybe he needs to say sorry. Maybe you need to hear it. Then you will really be done." My 8-year-old daughter was wiser than I was. I called Amanda Pierce back and agreed to the meeting. 3 days later, I sat in a secure meeting room in the county jail. Helen Rodriguez sat beside me for support, though she said nothing. The room was small, painted institutional beige, with a metal table bolted to the floor and cameras in every corner. Amanda Pierce and another prosecutor sat against the back wall, observing. The door opened. Douglas entered, escorted by 2 guards. He wore an orange jumpsuit identical to the one Preston had worn months ago. But where Preston had looked broken, diminished, my father looked ancient. He had aged a decade in 7 months. His hair had gone completely white. Deep lines carved his face. His shoulders hunched forward, as if carrying an unbearable weight. The guards removed his handcuffs and stepped back, but remained in the room. Douglas sat across from me at the metal table. He could not meet my eyes. The silence stretched for 90 seconds, uncomfortable and thick. Finally, he spoke. "I do not expect forgiveness." I said nothing. I wanted to hear what he had to say before I responded. Douglas continued, his voice rough. "I spent my whole life trying to prove I was somebody, trying to matter. I grew up poor, Anthony. You knew that. My father was a drunk who could not hold a job. We lived in a trailer park, ate government cheese, wore second-hand clothes. I hated every second of it. I swore when I had a family, I would give them more. I would be more." His hands trembled on the table. "I worked construction for 30 years, broke my body building other people's dreams. I made decent money, not great, but decent. We had a nice house, nice cars, comfortable life. But I never felt successful. I never felt like I had made it. Then Monica married Preston. A lawyer, money, status, big house. I thought finally, my kid made it. I could be proud. I could point to her and say, 'See, I did something right.' You had 2 children," I said quietly. "Not just one." Douglas flinched. "You did not need me to be proud. You were content being a teacher, happy with your simple life. You did not chase money or status or recognition. You just were happy." That made me angry. It made me feel like all my striving was stupid, like I had wasted my life chasing things that did not matter. If you could be happy without all the things I thought were important, what did that say about me? So you punished my children for it. His eyes filled with tears. I resented your contentment. When Monica's life started falling apart, when the money ran out and the debts piled up, I could not accept it. I had invested everything, emotionally and financially, into her success. If she failed, it meant I failed. So I propped her up. I stole money, I helped her steal money, I did whatever it took to keep the illusion alive. "And my children?" I asked. "Where did they fit into your delusion?" His voice broke. "If I made your kids lesser, it meant Monica's success still meant something. If your family was beneath hers, then she was still winning. I treated my grandchildren like servants because I was afraid. Afraid that my golden child was falling. Afraid my legacy was a lie. Afraid I had wasted my entire life chasing the wrong things. I destroyed everything trying to build something that was already broken." The guards shifted behind him. Douglas wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. The orange sleeve of his jumpsuit absorbed the tears. "I have months before sentencing to think about what I have done. I lie awake every night seeing Emma's face when your mother slapped her hand. I hear Lucas asking why I made him polish my shoes. I replay every moment, every cruel word, every time I chose Monica over you and your children. I cannot take any of it back. I can only tell you that I am sorry. I am so sorry." I sat in silence for a long moment, processing his words. Part of me wanted to rage at him, to scream about the damage he had caused, the therapy bills, the nightmares my children still had. Part of me wanted to walk out without saying anything, leave him drowning in his regret. But I thought about Emma's wisdom. Maybe he needs to say sorry. Maybe you need to hear it. I spoke, my voice steady. "You taught me one thing, Dad. You taught me exactly what kind of father not to be. Emma and Lucas will never question if they are enough. They will never compete for scraps of my approval. They will never wonder if they have to earn my love. You gave me the gift of knowing what unconditional love is not, so I could give them what it is." Douglas covered his face with his hands, shoulders shaking. "I am grateful for my childhood in one way," I continued. "It showed me every mistake to avoid, Every time you compared me to Monica, every time you made me feel lesser, every time you withheld love as punishment, you were teaching me how not to treat my own children. So thank you for that. You gave me a roadmap of what to reject. I stood up. Douglas looked up at me, his face wet with tears. Please, he said, please tell Emma and Lucas I am sorry. That is not my job, I said. You will have 15 years to write letters they may never read. That is your consequence. You chose this path. Now you walk it alone. I turned and walked out of the room. Helen followed. In the hallway, she put a hand on my shoulder. How do you feel? She asked. Free, I said. For the first time in my entire life, I feel free. The sentencing happened 3 weeks later. Douglas pleaded guilty to all charges. The judge gave him 15 years in federal prison. Barbara pleaded guilty to being an accessory, received a suspended sentence of 3 years with 5 years probation. She lost everything: the house, the savings, her reputation. She moved to Arizona to live with a distant cousin I had never met. I never spoke to her again. 6 months after Douglas's sentencing, Governor Wilson signed Emma and Lucas's law in a ceremony at the State House. Sarah and I attended with the children. Emma wore a navy blue dress and stood on the stage while the governor signed the bill. Cameras flashed. Reporters asked questions. Lucas held my hand tight, overwhelmed by the attention. Governor Wilson knelt down to Emma's level. You are very brave, he said. Because of you, thousands of children who have not even been born yet will be protected. You should be proud. Did we help other kids? Lucas whispered to me. You helped so many kids, I said, pulling him close. You changed the law. You made the world safer. The law went into effect immediately. Within the first year, 300 cases of grandparent abuse were identified and stopped because of the new mandatory screening requirements. The advocacy group expanded to 8 states. I became a regular speaker at conferences about family trauma and child welfare. I traveled once a month, telling our story, helping other parents recognize toxic dynamics and find the courage to break free. Sarah completed her master's degree in nursing and took a position as a nurse practitioner at a children's hospital. We bought a bigger house, 4 bedrooms, with a large backyard. Emma got a dog, a golden retriever she named Sunny. Lucas started taking piano lessons and discovered he had perfect pitch. On Sunday evenings, we hosted dinners. Not just Grandma Linda and Sarah's parents who flew in from Florida every few months, but friends from the neighborhood, colleagues from work, families from the advocacy group, people who chose to love us, who supported us, who showed up when things were hard. We filled our dining room table with laughter and stories and genuine connection. Emma flourished in middle school. She joined the debate team and discovered a talent for public speaking. She wrote an essay about her experience for a school assignment. It won a state-level competition. Lucas made the select soccer team and scored the winning goal in the regional championship. He ran to me on the sidelines, and I lifted him up, spinning him around while he laughed. 2 years after the courthouse hearing, a publisher approached me about writing a book. I hesitated, not wanting to exploit my children's trauma. But Emma, now 10 years old, said, "Daddy, if our story helps other kids, you should write it." Lucas agreed. So I spent 6 months writing Breaking the Chain: How I Saved My Children from Generational Abuse. It became a regional bestseller. I donated all the proceeds to fund family therapy scholarships for families escaping abusive situations. I never visited my father in prison. He wrote letters occasionally, rambling attempts at apology and explanation. I read the first 2, then stopped opening them. He had said what he needed to say in that jail room. Everything after was just noise. Monica wrote once from federal prison, blaming me for ruining her life. I threw the letter away without finishing it. Barbara sent Christmas cards the first year with no return address. I recognized her handwriting. I threw those away too. 3 years after everything fell apart, I stood at my dining room table on a Sunday evening in November. The table was set for 10 people. Grandma Linda was bringing her famous apple pie. Sarah's parents had flown in for the week. 3 families from our neighborhood were coming, people who had become like siblings to us. The house smelled like roasted turkey and fresh bread, the same comforting sense from my childhood, but without the undercurrent of toxicity. Emma was helping Lucas fold napkins. They were laughing about something that had happened at school. Sarah hummed in the kitchen, checking on the turkey. Sonny the dog dozed near the fireplace. Through the window, I could see the sun setting, painting the sky orange and gold. The doorbell rang. Lucas ran to answer it, Emma close behind. I heard Grandma Linda's voice, warm and loving. "Come here, my sweet grandchildren. Let me look at you. You have both grown so much." I walked to the entryway and watched Linda hug my children. She looked up at me and smiled. "You have built something beautiful here, Anthony. A real family." "Yes," I said. "We have." As everyone arrived and we gathered around the table, Emma asked if she could say grace. We were not particularly religious, but she liked the ritual. We all held hands and bowed our heads. "Thank you for our real family," Emma said, her voice clear and strong. "The people who choose to love us. Thank you that Daddy chose us over people who were mean. Thank you that we are safe and loved. Amen." Lucas added, "And thank you that we do not have to clean basements anymore." Everyone laughed. We ate dinner, told stories, shared dreams and plans. At one point, Sarah squeezed my hand under the table. I looked at her, this woman who had stood beside me through the worst moments of my life, and felt overwhelming gratitude. After dinner, after our guests left and the children were in bed, I sat on the back porch with a cup of coffee. Sarah joined me, wrapping a blanket around her shoulders against the November chill. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. "Everything we have learned," I said. "Everything we have survived. Tell me." I took a deep breath. "I learned that family is not about blood. It is about who shows up for you when you are broken. It is about who protects your children instead of using them. I learned that forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. I can release my anger without opening my door. I learned that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from people you love when they refuse to stop hurting you." Sarah nodded, resting her head on my shoulder. "I learned that my children's well-being is worth more than keeping peace with people who never wanted peace. They wanted compliance. Most importantly, I learned that breaking a generational curse does not make you the bad guy. It makes you the hero your children needed." We sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching stars appear in the darkening sky. Inside, I could hear Emma laughing in her room, probably reading with her flashlight under the covers. Lucas's nightlight glowed through his window. I stood up, pulling Sarah to her feet. "Let us go check on them." We walked upstairs together. Emma was indeed reading under her covers. We tucked her in properly, kissed her forehead. Lucas was already asleep, his soccer ball clutched against his chest. We adjusted his blankets and turned out the nightlight. In our own bedroom, getting ready for sleep, Sarah asked, "Do you have any regrets about how everything happened?" I thought about the question seriously. "Only one," I said. "I regret not seeing it sooner. I regret that my children suffered while I was blind to what was happening. But everything else, no. No regrets. We did what we had to do to protect our family." "We did," she agreed, "and we will keep doing it." As I lay in bed that night, darkness settling around me, I thought about the journey we had traveled. From that horrible Sunday afternoon, when I discovered my children being treated as servants, through the legal battles and public exposure, through the healing and rebuilding, to this moment of peace. Sometimes you do not find your family, I thought. Sometimes you build it. And that is exactly what we did. We built a family based on love and respect and unconditional acceptance. We built safety where there had been fear, joy where there had been pain, connection where there had been hierarchy. My children would grow up, knowing they were valuable, simply because they existed, not because they earned it or competed for it or proved it. They would know that love was not conditional, that their worth was inherent, that they deserved to be treated with dignity and kindness. That was my legacy. Not money or status or success by any conventional measure. My legacy was breaking the chain of dysfunction that had stretched back generations in my family. My legacy was giving Emma and Lucas a childhood where they felt safe, seen, and cherished. And that, I realized as sleep finally claimed me, was worth every difficult moment, every court hearing, every painful confrontation, every public exposure. It was all worth it to give my children what I never had, what every child deserves. A family that chose love over pride, truth over comfort, and their well-being over everything else. Have you ever had to make the difficult choice to walk away from toxic family members to protect your children? How did you find the courage, and what helped you heal afterward? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe for more stories about overcoming family challenges and building the life you deserve. Share this with anyone who might need encouragement to prioritize their children's well-being over family expectations. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it brings you courage, clarity, and the confidence to protect the people who matter most. May you always have the strength to choose love over legacy and your children's peace over anyone's approval. Take care of yourselves and each other.